I'm going to explain to you how you can get to single digit body fat. That is so lean that you can see your pancreas secreting insulin. So, let's get into it. I'm Yusuf, I'm a doctor and coach at Propane Fitness, and if you don't know us, we help you to make gains in your body and in your wallet. I'd like to cast you back to a distant time where Johnny and I were searching far and wide and tried every single diet fad in existence. But at one point, we stumbled upon the ancient, hidden secret of consistent calorie deficit applied over time. At this point, we realized that the main challenge is the accountability and the objectivity rather than the secret macros or the one supplement that doctors don't want you to know about. So the coach we hired was Eric Helms from 3DMJ, who handled our macros and our training plan. And it was easily the leanest that I've ever been. I did no cardio, maintained my strength throughout, and even gained a little bit of relative strength. So here are 10 lessons to get to single digit body fat without going fully insane. Bear in mind, this is not a pleasant process. There is a very specific reason why you might want to get to single digit body fat, and it's to end that perpetual cycle of the devil on your shoulder that's always telling you like, oh, you should be a bit leaner, you should be a bit leaner. You need to get there and realize that actually it's not that fun. And then you've got that out of the way. When you've set the groundwork for that, you can then do a very gradual, slow reversal, maintain most of that condition post-diet, and it'll be the last diet that you ever have to do. So just be aware this probably isn't a 3-week job for you. Number one is realizing that you are fatter than you think. I had visible abs here at the beginning of my diet at 82 kilograms, and I thought, I'm probably only like a couple of kilos off being shredded. And I was wrong. It took about 8 or 9 kilograms of weight loss to go from quite lean to shredded. The lesson here is expect that you'll need to lose more weight than you probably think, both for psychological and physiological reasons. Lesson number 2, avoid going gung-ho on the calorie deficit and the cardio. My average daily intake was 2,200 calories, which was maintenance minus 500 calories. So this equates to about 3,500 calories per week deficit and approximately 400 grams a week of weight loss. Going more extreme than that might seem tempting because you get the results quicker, but it's more likely to cause blowouts and binges. A more severe deficit is also more likely to cause a cascade of catabolic hormone changes that will decimate your mood and your sleep quality and your progress and your strength in the gym. Lesson number 3, you're in it for the long haul, so what's the rush? So often you get people that are like, I want to get ripped in 4 weeks. Why? Like, it's taken you 3 years to get fat. Like, what's the sudden rush? Progress is about the aggregate of small weekly increments. And if you've been overeating hard for 3 years, then imagine how hard you're going to have to tip the scales back again to undo it in 3 weeks' time. It's not going to be possible. Sorry, I know it's not very sexy advice, is it? But you are the average of your efforts. Tip number 4, train 3 times a week with high intensity and low or moderate volume. If you've read our Propane Protocol, which is our free program, you'll be doing this already. But the point here is that it's the diet and the calorie deficit which drives your fat loss, not the training. Trying to lose weight through burning calories when you're training is like trying to drink the sea with a spoon. Great analogy there, Yusuf. I don't know where that came from. The purpose of your training should just be to preserve your muscle. You'll need every bit of your recovery capacity to do this. When you're single digit body fat, you are running on fumes. The more overfed you are and the fatter you are, the higher your volume tolerance. You can also handle more cardio without harming your performance. If you must know, the program I was doing at the time was a 5-3-1 modified template. It just allowed me to turn up, do the reps, and not have to think too hard about it. By the way, that is totally underrated. Not having to think hard about your training is brilliant. It opens up your bandwidth, and it means that the progress just takes care of itself, and then you look in the mirror 12 weeks later and you're like, Tip number 5, it's not complicated. The fitness industry loves to make this super complicated, but it's just about the consistent application of the basics. Remember, the fitness industry wants repeat customers, so they're always going to overcomplicate and obfuscate things. But the key thing is having sensible inputs, so 500 calorie deficit, moderate volume, low frequency training program, and eating adequate protein. Then stick to the program for as long as necessary, and the output is that you get shredded. Tip number 6, track your macros, your strength, and your daily morning body weight. The more you track, the more you build a personal database, and you'll know very quickly how you respond to certain changes. Don't use the data about someone else's body to inform the decisions about your body. The more you track, the more you create a closed feedback loop, and you can very quickly course correct as things go along. Often we don't have the objectivity to do that ourselves, and that's why it's always better to hire a coach, because you can just give all that data management to them. They just tell you what to eat and how to train, and you can just turn up and do it. It's blissful. This is not something to skip. You might be thinking like, oh, well, I'm not obsessional enough to track and so on. If that's the case, then getting to single digit body fat maybe isn't for you. You can't just intuitively eat your way to 7% body fat. Now, on that note, tip number 7 is hire someone. Objectivity is paramount. Now, Eric was a great coach, but he didn't give me the magical, mystical macros. It was the fact that I had someone who I was accountable to, and he took those decisions for me and stopped me from self-destructing. When you're emotionally separate from a decision, how much easier is it to make that decision? If you're seeing your own progress stalling, it's very hard to stay objective there. That's when you step on the scales and you haven't lost weight, and then you panic and you cut off your leg, but then you can't balance, and so you order a new leg on Amazon, but you realise it's not going to come for another week, and it's just terrible. So don't do that. Tip number 8 is eat high volume, low calorie foods. Managing your satiety is the least sexy but most important thing in a successful diet. And I have gone to town and written an absolute thesis on that. So if you're interested, have a look on the website, propanefitness.com/hunger. The key takeaway is match the calorie density of your food to your calorie target. So if you've got to get 4,000 calories in every day to gain weight, don't be trying to do that from cauliflower. Equally, if your target calories are 1,800, don't be having the cataclysmically delicious almond croissant from Waitrose. I know it's amazing, but that's half your calories just gone in one sitting, and you will be hungry within 10 minutes. So if you want some tips on managing satiety and some cool hacks that you can do for that, have a look at that article. Tip number 9, hit your macros. You're probably busy and you've got limited bandwidth, especially when you're getting to single digit body fat. So just prioritize hitting your macros and don't worry about things like meal frequency. They are a distant second. It's also useful if you're aiming for certain macro targets to have single macro foods lying around so that you can play Tetris at the end of the day. So have something like rice cakes and dark chocolate and some protein shakes so that you can play this game of topping up the remaining calories. If you've been following us for a while, you'll have seen Johnny's story about when he arrived in a hotel on a work trip and he had to make up, I think, 180 grams of protein and 210 grams of carbs or something. So he just got a kilogram tub of fat-free yogurt and put a sharing bag of fruit pastels in it. So there we go, the 10 magic pill secrets that doctors don't want you to know about getting to single digit body fat. Hopefully that was helpful. Finally, and I've just got to say this because you know what YouTube comments are like, but every time I post my physique photos, someone will turn up and shout steroids. I am obviously lifetime drug free. I've been drug tested at competition, and the progress that I've made is really nothing special. It's totally achievable naturally. It's just a case of time under tension. So there it is. We can cover reverse dieting and muscle gain in the next video. In the meantime, have a look at this.